Hello everyone, welcome to Gogetmyguru. In this video, we'll be discussing about user-defined exceptions in Python. Before proceeding with the today's session, let's have a look at the agenda for today. So, in today's session, we'll be discussing about why we use user-defined exception, and then we'll discuss about how to create user-defined exceptions in Python, and also we'll discuss about user-defined exception with an example. So let's start our discussion with first topic, that is why we use user-defined exception. So many of you might be having a doubt, as Python provides many inbuilt exception. What is the need for this user-defined exception? So we need user-defined exceptions because they make code more readable, easy to debug and maintain. Sometimes these custom exceptions are required to throw exceptions for user-specific requirements. Let's understand this with an example. So observe the left-hand side code where we have defined a function validate to validate the password. So what this function is doing? This function is validating a password, and if the length of the password is less than 10, it is throwing an exception, that is raise value error. What happens? This code works perfectly because value error is a built-in exception. Assume some of your teammate is using this function as library in his program. So that time, if this value error is raised, of course he will be knowing there is an exception of value error, but he doesn't know why this exception is caused. That time, to know the internal structure of this validate function, he needs to go back to this code and refer the code, which is again a tedious task. So to avoid that, we make use of custom exceptions. So what happens in custom exceptions? So here in custom exception, we create a class and we name that class. So here I have given the class name as password too short. So whenever your teammate runs this program, so that time whenever the exception is raised, it is raised with the message password too short. So that time he knows this exception is raised because of password length. I hope you are clear and understood the difference between custom exceptions and why we need them. Let's move on with our next topic, that is steps to create user-defined exception. Now we know why one needs user-defined exception. Let's know how we can create that. So to create any user-defined exception, you need to create a new class. But that class should be derived from the inbuilt exception class. So observe here, class custom error. This custom error is my user-defined class, exception class. But this class is derived from exception. So this exception is the base class for all the inbuilt exceptions. And observe the second class, that is check ID. So this check ID is derived from the user-defined class, that is custom error class. You will understand this better when we take an example. So let's move on with our next topic, that is user-defined exception with example. So let's take an example of digital TV app. Like most of you might have observed in your Tata Sky or maybe Jio TV, Airtel. So any of the set-top boxes if you are using, if your balance goes low, you will get a message on your screen that recharge expired or recharge your account immediately. And if you have a sufficient balance in your account, then also if you are not able to watch the channels properly, it tells you that check your hardware connections. If both are working properly, then it asks you to contact customer care. So let's implement this logic with an exceptions. As I said, whenever I want to define a user-defined exceptions, I need to create a new class. So let's create a new class named TV error. So this is my class. This class I am going to derive from base exception class. After this, just give pass and we'll create one more class, that is I'll name it as low balance. So this is to check the balance in your account. So I'll derive this class from TV error class, and let's have one more class that is for hardware error. So I'll say hardware error. This also let's derive from TV error itself. And finally, so let's create one more class that is service. Give pass here. So now we have created the classes for user defined exceptions. Now let's make use of try block here. Before that, I'll define a variable signal and I'll equate it to high. Next, try. In this try block, I'll define amount, which is equal to, I'll take integer input from the user input, enter the amount. So assume this is the balance amount in your account. Next, I'll write if condition. If amount is less than 0, you should raise an exception. So raise, what exception you should raise? You should raise low balance exception. So I'll take one more if condition. If signal is equal to low, then I'll raise one more exception. So raise will raise hardware error, else will raise service error. Now that we have raised exception, it's time to catch these exceptions. So we need to write except block, except low balance. So here I'll print a message, kindly recharge your account. And next we'll catch one more exception. So except hardware error. So here I'll print a message, check your cable connections. And we'll write except block for service exception. Here I'll print a message, contact customer care. I hope you're clear. So here what I am doing, first I am defining a signal. It is high. So your cable contacts are correct means always the signal line will be high. If that signal becomes low, then you should raise an hardware error. If the amount is less than 0, you should raise low balance error. Let's run this code first. It's asking us to enter the amount. So let's enter the false amount first, that is low balance amount first. So -10 I'll enter. It's telling us to kindly recharge your account. That means your account is not having sufficient balance. So we have raised a low balance exception. Now I'll make this signal as low here now. So now assume that you have sufficient balance in your account, and I have made the signal as low here. Now let's run this. So I'll enter amount as 100. Now it is throwing an hardware error to check cable connections. I hope you are clear how we are raising user defined exceptions. Now I'll change this again low to high. So this time our cable connections are perfect, and let us enter an amount greater than 0 in order to have sufficient amount in the account, and let's run the code. So here I'll enter 100. Now it is throwing an exception, contact customer care. That is, though you have sufficient amount in your account and your cable connections are proper, still if you are not able to watch the channels, it throws an exception, contact customer care. I hope all of you are now clear with why we need user defined exceptions and how we can create user defined exceptions and how to catch those exceptions or how to handle those exceptions.
If you like our videos to support us, leave us a feedback in the comment section. Have you subscribed to our channel? If not, request you to click on subscribe button and hit the bell icon to receive regular updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next session. Keep coding. Happy learning.